And I'm just like, I feel like I fever. I was sweating. Like I didn't want. Like I just wanted to sit and relax. No, right? No grace, nothing. Right?
He had enough energy to go get key lime pie every single day. Okay, he was not that feverish. I choose to see the good in Jonathan, then that gives me hope. I choose not to dwell and think on the things that were horrible from the past, because those did absolutely happen, but they are not who he is. They are not who I am today, and they don't have to define us.
Live up to that, and as a man, not being able to provide, not being able to be the leader that my wife is wanting me to be, a constant feeling of failure was just spiraling into depression and spiraling me into like, why am I even trying? I can't do it.
Yes.
In that deep, dark pit, we now have a path. So you're not just sitting down there thinking, well, there's no way out. There's nowhere to go from here. Now it's like, oh wait, actually I remember the last time I was down here, I did this, and this, and that's how we get out.
Going through this relationship, and you can see that they're growing and we're growing together, that when they do fail, it's not put your foot on their face, but it's reach down and grab their hand.
Husbands did not fight for them. They did not fight for their husbands. They did not fight for the life. And I've had one say to me, like, I wonder what my life would have been like if we had done what you guys did.
They stay the same 'cause you are the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Marriage is really hard, and sometimes you want to quit, and sometimes you want to give up. But we're here today with
John and Gretchen.
They are our longtime friends, and
Married 15 years?
Married 15 years.
Sheesh.
It's pretty amazing, and I think our hope today is that they'll tell us that even though it's really hard, it's really worth it, and marriage can be really beautiful and redeeming. And with that, I want you guys to share a little bit about your story. Take us back to the beginning of your journey.
Well, it started off with you setting us up actually on a blind date.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So that was fun, and then as we dated, worked through, got married, we both had, I think, different ideas or different thoughts of what marriage would look like or be like, and but yeah, and also we both came from two different cultures, right? She has a different background, a different culture than what we. She has a different background, a different culture than what I am from. So,
can you flesh it out for people listening? When you say culture, can you?
Well, the culture is also. I mean, her family, she comes from the deaf culture, and so the deaf culture versus the hearing culture, they just do things differently. It's just a different way of life, a different way of communicating. Like the deaf culture, for instance, you go to a party, everybody can see and everybody can jump into any conversation at any time. So there's not much secrecy. There's not much like just holding stuff. There's the deaf culture is way more open due to that fact. Whereas like hearing, you can be over here and kind of whisper, right? And like people can't hear you. You can't jump into a conversation 20 feet away. The deaf culture can. And so the one thing that I noticed was like I'm more reserved. My family's sitting in the back corner at a restaurant. Her family's sitting right in the middle of the restaurant, right?
Making as much noise as possible.
And everybody's watching. Everybody's looking. And we're back and hidden. So that alone took a while for me to feel comfortable being exposed, right? And her, like, everything's exposed.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you saying that? Like, Raul was like, why are you saying that? Why are you talking like that? Calm down. No one needs to know this. No one needs to hear this.
That is so funny.
But like, that's just
Because Gretchen
culture.
she doesn't hold anything back, but that makes sense now.
It makes so much sense. Oh my goodness!
I love that you guys are enjoying that.
Okay, because Megan and I have been friends for so long, and then you and I became friends, and she's always been so outgoing, and Gretchen is one of the most honest and just straightforward and authentic people I know. And I've just never connected it to your upbringing. I don't even know why I've never thought about that. So that makes so much sense why in a marriage you would have to, that would be pivotal to understand that dynamic. That's really cool.
For sure.
And trusting that will work out, because it's like, no, my way is not only right, but it's the most comfortable. It's the most forward moving. It's the best thing for us. And so when each person believes that, there's not enough trust there to create something new or to lean into that other person, because you don't have. So when you get married, for us, it was, let's just call it a year. And that's nothing compared to the 20 or 30 or 18 or whatever it is before you get married. That obviously holds much more of the trust factor than the year that you have trusting in this person that you married.
So is there anything you could have done before you got married that could have prepared you?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know on our first year anniversary, we went to a couples retreat. What was it? It was like a couples therapy retreat on our first year anniversary, because we were just in the thick of things right away.
Yeah.
Right. In the thick of things. So what could we have done?
Was it a slow thing in that first year, or was it pretty much like big volatile
Out the
moments?
gates, like, this is hard.
I was
yeah.
out the gates hard. Yeah.
Is there a moment that sticks out in your mind from that first year that made you say, yeah, our first anniversary, we're going to couples therapy? Is there like a thing that happened, or is this like the multitude of big things?
Yeah, there were several of those. But to answer your question from original, which was
Something
something that we could have done to prepare better, something that would have made us more steady, was that we could have taken each other at face value. There was so much that we were like, this will resolve itself. This will go away. That was one of Jonathan's favorite things to say. It'll be better. It'll be fine after we get married. It'll be fine after we get married. But like, if we would have taken some of those things at face value, doesn't mean that we would or would not have still gotten married, but then at least we would have gone in with our eyes wide open, because instead what we did was like close them, hoping that they were all just going to go away.
Which is so normal. So many people think,
Yes.
once I'm married or once I have kids,
It's not going to be a problem anymore.
Yes. So if we would have taken some of those things at face value, like, no, this is who Jonathan is. And I can either appreciate that and we can move forward, we can make some forward moving action, whatever. Same thing. This is who Gretchen is. I can either accept that or not accept that. I can make some forward moving action. But instead we were just like, cover your eyes, close your ears. It's just going to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the reality of things, the only person you can change is yourself. And so if you go into it, thinking, oh, she's going to change or he's going to change, that's not going to happen. You're already setting yourself up for failure. And I think that's what we both did. We both were like, oh, she's going to change to be like this. Oh, he's going to change to be like this.
He's perfect,
You know?
right? Like, no changes needed here.
Hair toss.
But if you really want a marriage to work, you need to change. You need to be the one that needs to do some self-reflecting, not your partner.
Right.
And it takes some while to see that. For me, it took me a while to be able to see that. It takes humility. But as you're going through and growing and learning and seeing that, now you just become a better person. And then, we start to become, instead of trying to pull each other apart by trying to make the other person change, you start to change. And now you become that one is when you start to change, because now I'm changing into what she wants and her desires, and she's changing into what I want and my desires. And that's now we're becoming more of that one union that God calls us to be.
So can I touch on this for a second and go a little deeper? When did the moment come for either of you where it was like, okay, I'm the problem? And in that, were you taking into consideration what the other person, like Gretchen saying to you, Jonathan, these are the things I want you to work on and I want you to change? Is that what you're taking into consideration when you have this epiphany of like, ooh, I need to change?
I mean, I would say for me, it took me, a good 10 years to see that, right? Pretty hardcore, stubborn 10, that.
And Gretchen, you made it 10 years. Just kidding.
Okay, and I just want to point out, just so the listeners know, Erik and Jonathan are like best friends. So he's laughing because he gets Jonathan's personality.
I get John.
But
I get John at a different level.
Because the giggles might seem disrespectful to some people, but that's just their dynamic.
That's right.
But that is 10 years is a
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then even still today, right? You're still constantly like having to, because your flesh and your natural self is not to try to change yourself. It's try to, you're good. You're, boastful, not to be humility, and then look at yourself as the person that needs to be changed. So I think it's nonstop, always going. But I think about 10 years is when I realized, like, okay, I really need to do something to make some changes to be able to make this work.
I think I would say, there's a couple and who the constant thing that they keep saying about the other person is they're not changing in the way that I want them to. And I gave you this list that I want you to work on, and if you're not going to do this, then I just want kind of to be out of this relationship. How do you counsel someone who might be in that situation of they're not growing and I'm trying to evolve and I'm willing to put in the work, and in this culture of if you're not happy, get out?
Yes. So we were following all of that. That is exactly what our path was. And so we ended up in marriage therapy after we had some pretty specific things happen along the way, right around, like you said, just after 10 years. And we were doing so good in marriage therapy that our therapist told us that he was going to stop seeing us and we were going to get fired unless we both agreed to go to individual therapy because we were not making progress. Things were not getting better. It was moving very, very slow. So that's what we did. And I had been to individual therapy as a younger single person for different separate things, short term. And this was very different. I couldn't expect him to change. That it was like, I am also an individual and separate piece of this union. And so if I want it to be better, what do I want that to look like? What do I want me to look like? And then and that's really where I think the biggest change came, because it was less about, I want Jonathan to change. Like, that was no longer my agenda. That has not been my agenda since then. Like, would change from Jonathan be good? Sure. But in the meantime, the change had to come from me. Not because I have to make the first move, but that I am responsible for my own happiness. That Jonathan is not responsible for my happiness, and that my first and foremost relationship needs to be with God. So I was looking to Jonathan to solve all my problems and to be my everything and to do all the things, even though I understand clearly that that's not how it works. So then reprioritizing to, I need to have at least equal amount of responsibility in making myself happy and adjusting my views to like the things that Jonathan can't give me, which is to be expected. I need to go to God for those. So that really, I think, was the biggest change. And then I do believe, which we have not ever had this conversation, but like Jonathan saw things changing for me and then was also then responsive. So now, 5 years later, I mean, it was a long journey. We were in couples therapy for like 2 years. And our therapist used to always say, like, this is not the normal. This is not how long most people are here. You should not tell your friends they should expect to be in therapy for 2 years because you guys are just unique.
We go hard. We go hard. We're strong-willed people. Well, we always say, like, man, when things are going good and we're really working together, we're like a super couple. You know what I'm saying? Like when we put those powers,
That's
when we put
right.
those powers
beautiful.
together.
In unity.
Yeah, in unity, we're like, you know, it's like it is, you know, and even when things are going good, when we're working together, it is like a super couple. But when we're against each other and selfish, looking for our own needs to be met, then we're not a super couple. You know,
If I
It's
could,
super miserable.
if I could, if I could hear that a little bit more, because couples therapy wasn't effective,
Not by itself.
not by itself.
No, because there was so much, I don't want to just say finger pointing, but there was so much expectation. Again, we are big expectation people. You can't tell we have high standards. So the expectation was so much on like, Jonathan's the boss. Jonathan is the man. Jonathan is the head of the household. Jonathan has to fix this. And Jonathan, I'm sure, without even asking him, was thinking like, she's supposed to be the submissive one. She's supposed to be doing what I say. She's supposed to be doing, just following me and my pattern. And none of that was happening. And the amount of our expectations was so unreasonable. And then so to pull that back and adjust the focus onto ourselves has really, so then to get through those hard parts, you now fast forward to now, and our trust in each other has then grown because we've been through these hard things. Not only have we been able to get through these hard things, but we have each individually improved. So you see the commitment to, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to put in some effort to make it better, not only for himself, but for me to make it better for myself.
Yeah.
So I have two questions, and I'm going to direct this one to Jonathan. Was there a point, I mean, to Gretchen's point of saying that she hadn't talked to you about this, but you probably saw those changes in her, and was that something that was a domino effect for you of like, okay, something's different here, I need to step it up?
Yeah, no, definitely saw changes in Gretchen, and it was more like a burden being lifted off me, because like before it was just constant pressure of living up to those expectations, and I can't live up to that. And as a man, not being able to provide, not being able to be the leader that my wife is wanting me to be, a constant feeling of failure was just spiraling into depression and spiraling me into like, why am I even trying? I can't live up to her expectations. Like, why am I even going to try? Right. And so then once I started seeing that being lifted, it gave me some room to be able to stand and be like, okay, I can do that. I can make that happen. Whereas before I was just like, whatever, I'm a failure. I can't do it. Like, why am I trying?
And can we get, just because we can do this with the dynamic that we have here as friends, if Gretchen, if you're looking back at, as Jonathan's saying this idea of I'm a failure, I can't do, is this coming from you? Is it coming from the things that are being said to Jonathan? Like, where's the...
She never said you're a failure, but it was just the actions and the feelings of the fights escalate, not meeting those expectations, not making it, and then making that, or the spike of emotion during that time of not meeting those was reassuring me that I'm failing, So it was not, she never said you're a failure, or, I mean, not that I recall that, or none of that comes to mind, but the fact of just the feeling of not being able to make that, and the emotions of her telling me that I'm not meeting her expectations and not being the husband and the man that I'm supposed to be for her.
Yeah. And is there a point in time where you just were like, I just don't want to grow? I don't want,
Oh, yeah.
So what that look like, and how was that communicated to her?
That was probably right away.
That was right away.
That was
okay.
probably,
Yeah.
like we can recall that as early as our honeymoon. That was right away.
So take us there. Take us to the honeymoon. We're going.
Okay, so the honeymoon was, So I got sick so we went on the cruise.
Yes.
And then like I got sick like halfway through, and like
Seasick?
or
is it?
there was a sickness that
His
went
whole
around.
body.
Whole body.
There's a sickness.
Jeez,
See,
okay.
still holding on to it. You can see, but there was something that went around on the ship, right? Even talked to the
Yeah.
waitress. It's
But
like,
he was the
some
only
of
one
the
who
crew.
got it.
Anyways, so here's another thing that's different, right? The way her family went on vacations all the time. They were trippers, right? So a tripper is going, go, 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 go. My family didn't go on vacations. Like we didn't go on, like we had a farm.
Yeah.
We stayed home. We never, I don't recall going on. We went to Niagara Falls once
And Aruba for baseball.
for baseball. We did that, but that wasn't like a family trip. So like her style and thought process of vacationing and how that looks and what that looks like, how that's going to be, and mine, completely different, right? She's a tripper. She's go, go, go. My mind, I'm sitting on the beach. I'm sitting on the beach, putting my feet in the sand. I ain't moving from anywhere, right? So there you go. Right from the beginning, we're doomed because we never discussed this. We never like knew what that. So like now we're on this honeymoon, and I'm like, I don't really want.
I don't wanna go and do any
She's
of
like,
the
we're going
things.
here. We're waking up. We're going
Yeah,
this
we
way.
have
We're
an
going this way.
agenda.
We're going here. We're going there. We're doing this. Like, so here's her expectations of what it's going to look like, and here's my expectation of what it's going to look like. We never communicated of what each other thought or what it wanted to be, and then
That's
I got
when he
sick.
got the sickness.
And then I got sick. And then I got sick, and I'm like, I'm just sitting in the room today. I'm
Can't move.
going to sit here. She's like, all you want to do is watch TV. And I'm just like, I feel like I have fever. I was sweating. Like I didn't want. Like I just wanted to sit and relax. No, right? No grace, nothing, right?
He had
And
enough
so-
effort. He had enough energy to go get key lime pie every single day. Okay, he was not that feverish. That was,
Pie
his,
was amazing.
that was the best part of the
It's
trip.
good, right?
But so right there, right? So major tension right there on.
So
on
we
just,
agreed.
on just the expectations, and so
Yeah, we agreed that when we got home, we were just going to file for divorce.
yeah, I don't.
And Jonathan was like, "Let's get an annulment." That's not real, babe. That we're not Catholic. That's not how it works.
Yeah,
If you're
just-
married, then you have to get an actual divorce. You can't get an annulment. That's not how it works.
Just right off the get go, just completely different expectations,
Yes.
lack of communication of what we're expecting. And like, you don't even, when you first getting married, you just like having kids, you don't even know what you need to communicate about because you don't even know how different you are on different levels of like going on vacation. Who thinks like, oh, we got to make sure we're on the same understanding of what this is going to look like. Like
I've
it's
never thought about that until you just said it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I guess couples should talk about that even.
Yeah.
And for the record, we did go on vacation together prior to getting married.
Okay.
But it was,
Where did we go?
well, you came with my family to Breckenridge and
Oh, yeah, we
had
went
that ski
skiing.
vacation, and it was lovely.
Yeah. We skied. So we ski all day. So that's the thing we're doing, which is
So you have to go on
understandable.
every different kind of vacation possible in order to know how anyone's going to, like,
And well, like you're going skiing, so you're skiing all day, right? Everybody understands that's what we're doing, and then you go back to the house and just hang out, hot tub, chill, whatever,
Yeah.
perfect, right? But on this, it's like when you're going on vacation, seeing different things, like I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to do this, and I'm like, I just want to go to the beach and sit at the beach, right?
And
So
eat
that's
key
like
lime pie.
and eat key lime
Yeah.
pie and just like chill and relax. So, it's just
And the moment you have that fight or that like you insert like the tension, it's like, yeah, now I don't even know if I want to do anything with you.
I don't even want to be around you. I'm just gonna sit in the room. You can go do whatever. So she went.
Yeah.
The last stop,
I did
she
all
went and
the
did it
things.
all by herself.
and it was fine. It was good. I mean, you can't miss those shows. You guys ever been on a cruise?
Yeah,
The
I-
nightly shows are
Yeah,
amazing.
They are amazing.
And they always had, I love the newlywed shows, or like they do like it's like a Q&A type thing, and they have a whole bunch of people come on. It's like, I've been married for 5 years. I've been married for 50 years. I've been married for 20 years. And then they ask them a bunch of questions. Those are right in the middle of the day. I'm not missing those.
Okay, so you're on this cruise though, and you're just got married, and you're talking about divorce.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just can you take me into your inner monologue in that moment for both of you? Like,
Well, I mean, for me, it's just like, why am I want to be with this person who has like no desire, like no grace, no compassion.
She's not nice.
No, yeah, she's not nice to me. Like, just like, wow, she's, and you kind of, Gretchen's personality is kind of like that, right? It's kind of like,
She's a spitfire,
I'm not taking anything. You just, and
Man up, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there were none of those in my family. So it was like, you're sick, you stand up, you go to work, you do all the things, you still go out and mow the lawn. Jonathan's sicknesses are worse. So he can't do those things.
I haven't been sick in a while, though.
That's right. He is getting so healthy.
You used to get sick all the time.
Yes.
I remember that, yeah. Yeah, and Gretchen, for you, what was that like? You were on the divorce train too? You were like,
Oh,
yes,
100%.
okay.
Like, I can't, like, first of all, who is this person? And it's maybe too simple to say he doesn't value me, but it's like, he doesn't love me enough to like, how sick is he really? I mean, the key lime pie was still fine. So he could have
For the vitamin C.
Is that what comes in the limes?
Gotcha.
So I was just like, no, I need somebody who's got way more grit than this. Like, I have too much grit for somebody to have no grit. And I'm sure that wasn't the exact things I was thinking at that time, but I'm sure it was, this is not going to work. I'm sure that's more of like, I need somebody who, I don't know, cares more about me than themselves. You think about your dad and you think about what they sacrifice. And I mean, I'm sure, Erik, you're the same. And now Jonathan has Michaela, and I'm sure that's the same. But it's like, you think about your dad and how much they have sacrificed for you, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever. And then you're on your honeymoon, and that person is clearly not your dad. And that at the same time, it's like, but you're also looking for a partner. You're also looking for somebody who is on your same level. So it's such a conundrum. It's not like a linear thought process.
Is that expectation to look for someone like your dad? Because I think a lot of girls will do that, especially if they have a good father.
Yes, and if they don't, then they look for whatever their dad wasn't.
Is that a healthy expectation?
I think it's natural.
Yeah, fine.
Healthy. I don't know.
That's all relative.
It's normal. It's like it just makes you feel.
And the hardest part is a parent's love for their child is different than a spouse's love for each other. And the picture you're getting is the one that Michaela's getting of you now.
Right.
Right. And so after seasons of hardship and, working toward that commitment, where you don't have to work toward a commitment to your kid. There's no like, they're really hard. It's like, no, I love them even in their worst. You love them because they're your kid. And there's no thing that they'll do that will make you love them less.
Right.
Whereas there's things your spouse that will make you be like, I don't really like you right now.
Yes.
Do you think it would have mattered if you?
So it is a bad expectation to think that your spouse is going to be like your mom or your dad.
Plus, I don't think it's realistic because, again, if I could do anything over again, I mean, yeah, there's a whole list, but the number one thing would have to be like, I need to look inward, not outward. So I need to not be looking at Jonathan for expectations and changes the expectations of myself going into the marriage and or continuing in the marriage. Who am I? What am I bringing? How am I going to make this better? So on and so forth. The idea that somebody else is going to show up and make my life better is a recipe for disaster.
Because that's so the message today, right?
Yeah.
Like if you
Amen.
go on any social media, it's like, girl, you don't need that man. Find you a man who's going to do X, Y, and Z, or find you a woman who is X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And so have the affair, leave your, So, I mean, what, do you think it would have made a difference if you had lived together first?
I already had my own house. He was already there a lot. We didn't live together, but maybe.
Yeah. Would have made it easier?
No, we would have just broken up. What do you mean? No.
Yeah,
No.
that's what I was gonna say.
The first time we hosted a dinner party, I like altered his mom's recipe and he like lost his mind. This is not how it's made. And I will admit it was not an improvement, but that's not the point. Like the point is I am also not his mom. And so again, going back to that idea, this expectation of that whoever I'm marrying is going to be like the women that I know, like the 20 years of experience versus the men that I know, 20 years of experience, and how he obviously does things differently than those people. And so that was that alone was crazy.
But you guys stayed, obviously. And I just have to note, like, obviously we saw John and Gretchen in the beginning, and it's really cool to watch John and Gretchen now. It actually, like, it's really beautiful. And I'm very proud of you both because it's a lot of hard work. And I do want to ask, like, what made you stay?
Probably, honestly, was probably more just like a prideful thing, a selfish thing of like not being embarrassed that I can't make my marriage work is probably like one of the first things that comes to my mind. And then a second thing was because I know the Lord says no, not to divorce is not a thing that we should be doing, you know, and ultimately it talks about getting divorced, and then if you get remarried, he considers you an adulteress. And so it's like, I don't want to not get remarried, you know, I do want to be married, I do want to have a family, I do want to have that. And so these are decisions and choices that I've made, and she can still change. You know, in the beginning, she could still change. I know she could still change, right? Obviously, the wrong mindset, the wrong thought process that I was having. But until you come to further revelation and understanding, like she's saying, it's me that needs to change and understand.
So when we were first married and having these troubles, I reached out to a couple that was very close to us for a long time, a family friend, and told them that we were having trouble and like, what should we do? Looking for advice, all the things, whatever. And they just looked shocked and appalled that I thought that they were gonna like come alongside us. And they basically said, that sucks. So sorry you guys are going through this. Don't come to us. We don't have the answers. We can't help you, whatever. So I never, all the way then until like, because we stayed close with this couple. And then when we were together like 10, 11 years, whatever, and we were seriously considering getting divorced, that was the only other time I just reached out and said, hey, just so you know, your person is going to need support. We're getting divorced. And they were like, oh, wow, sorry to hear that.
Because I think there's so many young couples who are told, keep your marriage private. Yes. Don't share outside of, you know, your spouse because that's somehow inappropriate. And then I think so many young couples, they just struggle. They're fighting to stay together and they have no one to turn to. So I don't know, is there wisdom there? Like, is there?
Yeah, don't let that be the end. I mean, I just turned around and went to somebody else. As Jonathan already mentioned, like, the deaf culture isn't like, okay, fine, I got shut down. Like, okay. It was just like, no, I'm just not going to talk to those people. I just reached out to somebody different and got my support from other people.
So you would say
that's okay.
You would say get help. But what about the person who's like, I don't want people knowing my business. Don't put our, like, if Jonathan was like, that was okay. So walk us through that.
It was just more of a feeling of embarrassment, right? Of like talking about your problems. And growing up, we never talked about our problems and feelings, and like that wasn't a thing that we did. And maybe I think that's maybe fairly normal. I'm not sure, but And so for me, talking to other people about problems in our marriage and being the man that's supposed to be leading and head of the household, and like ultimately the responsibility falls on me before God. And like, so I had a lot of this embarrassment and failure, feelings of failure. And so that's very difficult to be able to be open and vulnerable with people, to be able to talk to them about it. And also to be able to talk to people about it that have that experience. You have to usually talk to somebody and be friends with somebody that is older, right, has been through it, so they can get wisdom. Talking to other people that have been married 2-3 years is the same as us. You know, you're not getting this. So like your close friends usually are same age and same marriage type, so like you have to have older people. And we did have another couple that we could have talked to, but I didn't want to talk to them because I just felt embarrassed. You know, a really good mentor that I could have went to that they would have sat down and talked to us for sure and helped us out. But
would we have actually listened either? Like,
no, I don't think so at that time. But I mean, maybe they might have gave some, and who knows? Maybe he would have been straight up in my face and like, you know, got on me and told me, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And maybe I would have. I don't know, because I did respect this person, and I still respect this person, and it was just. Just more of a feeling of embarrassment and being vulnerable. I think that's a hard thing to overcome.
It might not have helped, but it could have gotten you on the track to finally get to the point where you saw that it's about me as an individual, not about like, because it seemed like that's where it finally needed to get to was we need to stop going to couples therapy. We just need to go get our own help privately, individually. And but I know what you're saying, like John, you just feel weak. And you don't want to feel weak. And admitting those kind of failures or problems is just like admitting that you're weak. And but that's also the solution, because it's in our weakness that we recognize that it's the strength of God that can actually work in it. But as long as we're trying to, like, I know in my own, like, as long as I'm trying to pursue and press it on my own strength, it doesn't go far. It's in the weakness of saying, I can't even do this. Lord, you're going to have to come and do a work.
In me, not in my wife, or in me, not in my husband.
And sometimes it's in our marriage, but it starts here. Right? It's like, that's the end goal. I want this to be great, but I know it starts with me, and looking for God to hold it up.
And we were not in individual therapy that long. I mean, I would say a total of like 6 or 8 weeks of individual therapy, where we were in marriage therapy for almost 2 full years. You guys know how expensive that is?
It's very.
So individual therapy was much shorter, much more concise, much more manageable. I think the average person, that's reasonable. Going to therapy for a couple of months to make a life change, if you can get those connections made, those synapses, then that is great. But you do have to be at a place where you are pliable, where you are miserable enough, where you understand like something needs to be different, and it's not just my spouse.
Yeah. What was unlocked for you, John, in that individual therapy?
It was good because he was like a pastor as well. So like, and since I moved to Colorado, I kind of fell off from like studying my Bible, and like I was here when I was in Illinois, I had a lot of good Bible study people that I worked with, and like debating with people in Bible, and like really iron sharpening itself or whatever. But so it was great because I was like just kind of talking Bible with this guy too, and like just talking about. So it was it kind of brought me back to the whole. Bringing me back under the scripture and everything. So that part was really good. Just bringing me back under to understanding of getting back into the Word and believing and trusting in that.
Would you say that, like, and I don't know if you're saying this, so would you say that God was missing from, like, in all of this, that you guys individually were struggling in walks with God, so that was impacting the unity?
Sure. Yeah, I could agree with that for sure. That when we moved out to Colorado, I definitely have dropped the ball in being the leader, spiritual leader in that sense, you know, for her, for me. for the family. And so that has been awakened and a bigger awakening that I need to step up and do and make sure I lead in that properly.
Listen, the miracle in it all is that throughout 10 years, you didn't get divorced.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
And now that you're on the other side of it, I think providing hope to somebody who's in the midst of a dark season or a hard season in their marriage, but to talk to that person and encourage them, what would you say to yourself in year 1, now that you're standing in year 15? Or even, I guess, in year 10 too, like anywhere in that zone.
Basically, look at yourself, don't think of yourself more highly than you ought. Be humble, be willing to be vulnerable. And, the only way marriage is going to change is if you change, because you can only control yourself to change. I can't control Gretchen to change. I can only control myself. And so, don't be so hard-headed. Don't be so full of pride. Only by pride cometh contention. Put your pride away and understand that this is you, it's not her.
There's a little saying that is, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And so, although I agree with what Jonathan's saying, I want to make it clear that for me, that is not about I have to change for Jonathan. No, I have to change because I want to do what's right in the sight of God. I want to do also what's right for me. And those things are going to then directly reflect into my relationship with Jonathan. If I am expecting him to meet all of my needs and for him to make me happy, there's a lot left on the table that's going to count as failure. Where if I am doing those things because it's what makes me happy, then that is also going to directly reflect on Jonathan as I am capable of meeting so many of those needs and or expectations that I have put on him as somehow his responsibility when they are actually not. There's no book anywhere that says these are the things. It's just based on, whatever story in your own head. So that saying, would I rather be right or happy, applies to actual arguments, contentions, whatever. But me making changes that are going to impact my own life were like just the next step. They were, even if I get divorced, I deserve to be happy. Even if I get divorced, I still am responsible for my own joy. I'm still responsible for my own happiness. That is not Jonathan's responsibility. And so therein is where I took some of that burden unknowingly off of Jonathan, because that was my motivation was not at this point anymore Jonathan. My motivation was like, I am still going to be alive and functioning in this world. I still have a child. I still have other people in my life. Like, life will still continue even after Jonathan. And so what am I doing to improve that process? And so unknowingly in that process, I released and relieved Jonathan of so many of those burdens, giving him, as he said, room to even just stand up, because I was so much over him that in more of a like descriptive context, it would be like he was all scrunched up. He didn't.
I felt it too.
Sure.
I felt the relief.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I do know that in those seasons of pain and struggle, many people, including my own, was not like, Jonathan is my priority. So all you guys listening, your spouse doesn't have to be your priority. But in healing yourself, you will also heal your relationship. And it won't be perfect. And they will still be responsible for their own things, but you can't fix them. I can't fix him. He's still going to be broken, but I'm going to be just fine. And really that mindset, which now obviously has expanded from there, but that's really what was the propulsion to some of our healing, because then Jonathan didn't have to carry this huge burden with all these huge expectations that were very unrealistic.
Yeah. Did you ever have this moment of like, because I hear this, if I wanted to feel this miserable, I would have just stayed single. If I could do this by myself now, if you're not going to do it with me, I can just get divorced and be single. Like,
being single would have been way better, way easier, way happier. But a single person wouldn't say that. A single person would say, it's lonely, just like Jonathan said, like, I would want to be remarried. I do think there's some sort of statistic that says men are much more likely to get remarried.
Yeah.
I always said, if we got divorced,
you're done.
that's it.
That's it.
I'm with you.
Me and Erica, we're going to get a house together
That's right.
with 10 of our friends.
Me and John.
They've been trying to do that forever.
And who's gonna be your guys' spouses? Each other? Eric?
Well, we'll have to find somebody that fits into the lifestyle that we want.
We'll hire a maid.
Oh my goodness gracious! One thing we haven't really you lightly touched on was you guys have a beautiful daughter in all of this, right? So what was that like? Because there is definitely couples in the throes of it with children. What's your wisdom to them?
Well, I mean, obviously, it was, I don't know, maybe year 8, 9, 10, something like that, where it was like really, divorce was like really serious, like going to happen tomorrow type of deal, right? Something like that, right? And, but then, we have Michaela, and it's just like, you start thinking about that. It's like, that made me even more pressure of like, we got to make this work for her, because that's not fair to her. She's going to go through, trying to raise a kid to have the least amount of
Reasons to go to therapy.
Reasons to go to therapy, right? Like that's a reason to go to therapy. So, but anyways, so it was really like, that's not good for her. That's not, that's not. I need to be able to step up and take care of this for her, and then also myself and also my wife, so that was one motivation of like not letting that just slip through, because that's easy. I think it's easy but not easy, but I think divorce is the easy way out, right? I mean, during those 2 years or 3 years or however long divorce can take, the divorce can take, it would be very painful and long, but then once you're done, it's easy. You don't have to worry about it. Whereas if you're fighting through your relationship and fighting through growing yourself, that's hard. Growing yourself, looking in the mirror and trying to improve yourself, trying to realize that you're the problem, that's hard to do. Yeah. That's ugly, right? It's not easy. And so it was, but that was a decision we had to make to be able to keep the family together and be able to give hope for Michaela.
Did she pick up on I mean, I don't know, how old was she while some of these things?
Yeah, and Jonathan used to always say, and I know that he thought, like, I'll just get a new, better wife, and it'll be so much easier, and it'll be so much better. And I do think
called up Elon, give me a good wife, give me a robot.
Okay, that's not what he said. But so I do think that there is that idea that like somebody different is going to make this better. And my thought all along, and what I would always say is like, but you will still be there. You will still be the common denominator, which includes me, right? If I were to get divorced and get remarried, I will still be in that relationship. And if I haven't done any personal work, chances are. But Michaela was not doing well. It was definitely affecting her. She was definitely acting out. And she's only one child. If we had more, they would all have been, I'm sure. She was seeing the behaviors that we were having and the fights that we were having, the verbal arguments and the lack of love between us. And she was absolutely emanating those things. I had complaints from family members saying that she was being aggressive towards their kids, that she was saying unkind things more than normal. She was definitely struggling. I think that's par for the course.
Yeah.
Which is
Can I go pee real quick?
yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Ask that
absolutely,
question. For sure.
yes.
Right through.
I think everyone needs to remember we all feel alone in all of these situations, whether it's a sickness that affects our family or whether it's the situations that Jonathan and I went through where it was just pride and contention and expectations. But it was good for me to remember that there is nothing new under the sun. Even if you don't personally know anyone who's going through your specific situation, there are so many people who can relate and so many people who have been where you have been.
Yeah. And that's the importance of remembering you don't have to suffer alone. Because when you guys were walking through all of this, did you feel alone?
I did, yeah.
You did. Why?
Yes.
Why? What contributed to that?
Well, just not wanting to share, not being able to tell. Again, embarrassment, pride. And so it's like, I'm just going to bear it instead of being able to reach out. And the more you talk about it, like later in life as you grow and the more you're able to talk about it, the more you're able to realize it's not embarrassing, or the more you're able to be more open, the more you feel relieved and like, oh, wow, I should have been talking about this from day one. It would have been so much more helpful instead of just holding it in, because holding it in, it just destroys you. And being able to open it out and just being like, this is who I am. I'm a human being. I'm a failure. I'm a sinner, right? And I'm not perfect, right? And so like, I think a lot of people or myself, I didn't want people to see my failures, didn't want them to know that I'm a failure. And it's probably still stuff like that in my life right now. And so that was part of the reason why I didn't want to talk or didn't want to bring it up, is because I didn't want people to see that part of me, the different culture and deaf and hearing. Deaf, everyone can see, right? Hearing, you're keeping it close. So that was a little bit of a contention. She was like, let's talk to people, let's get it out. I'm like, heck no, we're keeping this in. We're not going to let people know about this. That's embarrassing.
Was that fighting? Was there a lot of fighting in those moments?
No, there was a lot of isolation in those moments. We were no longer problem solving together. So he was doing whatever he wanted and I was doing whatever. We were just coexisting in the space because we were still married, we still lived together, and we still had a child together. So our lives were almost completely separate. I mean, outside of, again, we still had bills to pay and all those things. But so he chose to not tell anyone and not do anything. That couple that I told you about, after I said, like, just so you know, we're getting divorced, he's going to need some support, they reached out to him and said, oh, hey, Gretchen called us and said you guys were getting divorced. You guys okay? And he's like, yeah. And they were like, oh, okay, great. And that was it. That was the conversation. In the meantime, I, in my family, was telling everybody. I was talking about it everywhere. And he didn't get a choice in that because, again, we are two individuals. So he knew.
Which made me mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I was telling everybody. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. And that, I think, also made a difference because I had amazing support. And people rallied behind us staying together, us figuring this out, even though they knew the nitty gritty. And I do think that impacted Jonathan because he knew that they knew everything and they were still saying that we should stay together. They were still like hugging him when we saw him. Like, I do think that was a unique experience in those isolating moments because he did not choose to share, but they knew anyways because I chose to share, and they were still treating him pretty much the same.
So what does that do for you? So take me back to this moment of you're like you're going more inward. You're like really embracing that isolation. What does that do to your mind, your emotions, but also then to counter what your wife just said, then you're seeing people, they still know this, and yet they are loving you and wanting to walk alongside of you. Can you draw that picture better for us?
So keeping it in, staying isolated, just caused probably depression within me, and like, what was it? Not suicidal, but like, man, if I just get hit by a truck, that'd be great, you know.
Passive
Like,
suicidality, where like something horrible happens. Guess it was my time.
yeah, you know. So just like, yeah, and just feeling the stress of that, and the feeling the loneliness of that, just then, you know, makes leaving this earth more
Appealing.
desirable.
And then you were.
And so it got anxious, and just up in the middle of the night pacing back and forth, doing, you know, like, just like, yeah, it was pretty like hard and heavy for sure. And then, you know, being around people that I knew and were still kind and caring and compassion, you know, it was just, it was good to see. It was probably helpful. If it wasn't that way, it probably, you know, who knows what would happen, you know. But so I think that definitely played a part in being able to step up and continue and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, that the good part of what we can have and be and continue with.
They will still love me in spite of myself, in spite of what has happened between us, that they will still accept me. You know, I'm sure that there's a lot of, like, not only for us, but for all people, a sense of shame after a event of poor judgment, or an event of thing that I think reflects poorly on my character. And to know that, like, these people who I'm going to be with day in and day out, that they will still welcome me in, they will still love me, they will still cherish me, they'll still laugh with me.
Yeah.
When and if this ever ends, is so valuable. It's so valuable.
What if those voices encouraged a divorce?
Oh, sure, great, yeah,
Do
absolutely.
you think you would have?
Yes.
Probably,
Yeah. So it was the voices.
Let me go with you to the courthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like, "You're right. You deserve to be happy.
Yeah.
Cut that man off. You're so much better than him." So if
Yes.
it was that, you'd have been like, "Yes, I'm gonna." So the importance of even the voices that you let in to instruct your marriage, because you, and I don't know, did you were you looking for that? Were you looking for someone to urge you in getting a divorce, or were you just happened by God's grace to the voices that were around you were the ones that were saying, "No, you can do this. You can stay together. You can find a way through"?
Oh, no, I had some of those at
Okay.
work. I have plenty of non-believers that I work with, and there were some very strong ones, some who were coincidentally going through some similar things, and were very much like, why would you even think about sticking around through those times? Anyway, long story short, now we're 5 years in from the beginnings of that specific situation. And I do think that those people look at what we have recreated, what is different, not only in our marriage, but about me specifically, because I am absolutely a different person. And I do think that they have feelings about, like, I wish I had that. They're non-believers, so their husbands did not fight for them. They did not fight for their husbands. They did not fight for the life. And I've had one say to me, like, I wonder what my life would have been like if we had done what you guys did. And so I have, you know,
beautiful.
I try not to, like, do too much digging in there, because you can't change what was.
Right.
But I do know that our journey, with how open and honest I was with the people around me, was shocking for people not only to see what we went through and stayed, but also to see what has come of that misery.
And that's such a reminder of what marriage should be for believers, right? You guys are literally living testaments and testimonies for the kingdom, that people are watching you in ways at depths that you may not have even been aware of, but you're also a reflection of God and a reflection of how he can redeem and restore. And I think you're changing, and then your marriage changing, and people ending up divorced when you kept, fighting for being together for whatever reasons. If it started out more selfish, and but here you are now, and when we were talking about Michaela earlier, and you were sharing about her, I did want to point out, like, she's the sweetest little thing. So it's so shocking to hear those things, right? Because when you look at her now, when we came home from visiting you guys in Colorado, we were like, oh my gosh, imagine if we had a Michaela.
Life would be better.
Your boys are so sweet.
Our boys are sweet, but we were talking about, like a little girl, and
But they don't have that female nurturing. I just want to step in, and I got it, guys.
And she was speaking life over the little ones, like. But that even not just your work friends or not just your family, it was even watching the transformation. Like, she got a front row seat. And to look at her now, I mean, it has to also blow you away too, and make the staying so worth it, because it transforms her life too.
Yes, not just staying, the healthy staying.
Yes.
She would not be better off for us to have stayed in what we were.
Yes.
And just continue to raise her in the chaos.
That's such a good distinction, an important distinction. If there's a young couple who's coming to you, right, and they're like, we just can't see a way forward, we want out of this, we're tired, they're not changing fast enough. If you could give like just 2 minutes of wisdom, what are you saying to the woman? What are you saying to the young man?
I still stick with what I said about, do I want to be happy or do I want to be right? There are plenty of times now where I'm choosing to be happy, and that's on purpose. And it's not because I feel like my thoughts don't matter or I'm not as valuable as anyone else. It's not always about right and wrong. Like, let's go to Taco Bell versus McDonald's or something. It's more about, like, is my opinion, is my value system better or greater than his? But that has also impacted all the rest of my life, because my interactions with other people are also better, because I don't have to be right all the time. I do value others' opinions and take them very seriously, versus in the past, maybe not so much. Another thing is taking my own thoughts captive. And so I do think this is a hard process when you are so used to your own internal dialogue of, like, one of my favorites is, Jonathan is such a dumbass. Okay, I used to, like, say that to myself, like, I've never told that to him either. This is all new. But I used to say that to myself probably, I don't know, 1,000 times an hour. But now,
As his friends, we can understand.
But now I choose not to say that, because even that one single thought, although it does not apply to everything, it's a nice, easy blanket to cover all of my feelings of frustration, impatience, not having my needs met, whatever, right? So that doesn't work. That's not helpful to where I want to go. One, that just contributes to me just being a negative person. It also does not contribute to, like, feelings of love that I need and want towards my husband. So those thoughts are, that single thought specifically, I give a lot less space to and occurs a lot less often. Definitely not even on a daily basis versus 1,000 times an hour that I was just saying. Like, I don't give those thoughts space, and it's not just about him, but I don't have the room. I only have a limited amount of brain space, and I want to fill those with the thoughts that are going to improve my life, improve my surroundings, improve my relationships. And so even if something is true, which that one is not, I can give it a single thought, because I do think your emotions and your feelings are valid, but I can have a thought and let it go on by. I don't have to hold on to that thought as truth in order for my feelings to be valid. I can have a thought and let that go and choose to think about and dwell on the things that are important, that are better, that are positive, that are more honest and reflective of my life. So practicing that even just a couple times a day, a week, a month, every one of those thoughts that you replace will improve your life.
Yeah. It's powerful.
For sure, the mind is powerful. Think on these things, whatever is true, whatever is honest, whatever is pure. And so, I'm sure everybody has negative thoughts about their spouse.
You don't want to share yours?
I don't know.
He's like, that's part of how I've grown, and I'm wiser now.
That just creates negativity and replace that negativity with positive, and what I would tell the husband would be, love is a sacrifice. Love is something that you need to sacrifice your wants and desires for them. And that was something that I always struggled with in the beginning. And I knew, the Bible said, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. And I was always and I would talk to people about it, what does that mean? I don't fully even though it's easy, right? That's easy. Oh yeah, give yourself, but what does that fully mean? And I think, as the years go on and the more and more I understand, what that mean, what that look like, how that's applicable to, Gretchen, to my wife, and that, you have to know your wife, right? You have to know her to be able to know what that looks like, to be able to give yourself for her. And so that's something that I would say, just keep that in your mind of pray to God, what does that look like? What is that? How can I apply that into my marriage and into my life for my wife to be able to, so that she can feel that love. And it's a sacrifice. It's not, don't look, when things are going bad, when things aren't going right, it's you, to look unto yourself. And only by pride cometh contention. So there's fighting in marriage, which there's fighting anywhere in relationships. There's pride somewhere. And the only pride that you can correct is your own pride. So look at yourself. What pride am I doing right now? How am I being prideful in this? And when you do that, you can. Not saying that I do that all the time, right? But when you do that, you can. I definitely see positivity from it in the relationship. And so, look unto yourself and try to change yourself for the better.
How do you guys keep the past from being on a repeat? How do you keep? There's just no records of wrong. How do you keep from when things get really hard or a pattern that was old seems to maybe resurface for a moment? How do you keep from being Jonathan, you always do, or Gretchen, this is so typical of you. How do you not throw the past in the other person's face?
Well, I think I think as growing in maturity, that's the next level of being able to, right? Because when you first start out, now you're building all this stuff, and now as you kind of learn to put that away, now the cycle is bringing that past up, and which is easy to do, right? Is having that, when she does something, is having that that negative mindset, that thought that you have in your mind to her or to him or whoever it is, then it just becomes being able to recognize that, you're angry, and in the moment that thought comes or the anger comes, but then the maturity comes to where being able to recognize that and see all right, well, yeah, maybe right now she's being this way, but ultimately I know who she is. I know that she's changed. I know that she's human. I know that she's going to fail. I know that I'm going to fail. And being able to provide grace, I think that's the next step, is being able to provide grace in the cycles that come about throughout marriage, is being able to understand that we're all human, right? We go through cycles. We just went through a cycle about a couple of weeks ago. maybe we're in a cycle right now. I don't know.
Hard to read her expression, huh?
But there's definitely cycles that come up. There's no doubt. And like it'll go like, oh man, things are going great, and all of a sudden, boom, a cycle comes up, and then you just get caught in it to where you're fighting with each other, and you're coming up in your contention, and you're both, and you're not looking at yourself to put away that pride, right? You're prideful. I'm not wrong. I'm right. She's wrong, right? And not being able to recognize that for whatever reason, right? Because maybe work's stressful.
Yeah.
Maybe the kids are being stressful, maybe whatever the cycle is. So now your mind's on something else than it is on looking on that. So now you're going to take it out on your wife or your spouse.
When you were doing this, this rising, it took me back to when Gretchen was talking about, what were you saying? He was like kind of shrinking or covered. I don't know, a visual person, but I guess I've never thought about it like this until I just saw you doing that. Like, if you are in a fight and you're doing this and the other person is like, you're right. That's your pride that is trying to win a fight, not save a marriage. But that was a really good visual.
Can I ask a question
absolutely.
for Gretchen? So, because when you say is it better to be happy or right? Right. I think I need if I could get an example of where you paused and said it's better to be happy than right. Because when I hear just those two things, just like happy doesn't always have like a do you, that whatever makes you happy. It can almost have, but you're using it as in a way that says, no, you want to be the person who's happy, not just always be the person who's right. In my frame, I'm like, sometimes happiness almost has this negative connotation, especially in Christian or worldly connotation, and especially in like Christian circles where people be like, oh no, don't just pursue your own happiness. It's like, okay, well, that may not actually be true.
Yeah, I've definitely come to the idea that my mental state, so if I am happy, directly affects my relationships. So if that's a Christian way, is like, don't pursue happiness, I guess I don't ascribe to that.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna spill over. But for me, I love to argue. I mean, I am right
Should've
about
been a lawyer.
Yeah, I could have been a lawyer. I would have loved it. But even in spite of that, like, I have actually learned that my values have probably changed over the years, and maybe I don't love to argue or be right as much as I thought that I did, because actually I do really value a harmonious, content relationship. And that same work friend that I was mentioning from before was asking me, well, are you happy? And it's like, let me think about that. I'll get back to you after my next case. So you come back and I say, well, no, I'm probably not happy all of the time. My relationship is not perfect. My life is not perfect, but I am content. I have made very specific choices. We continue to make choices every single day. And so, although everything is not perfect and happy all the time, I am content with the imperfection in the relationship that we have created. And that will continue to hone itself to, which is so sad, because, right, like people who have been married 50 years, it's like you worked all those 50 years to get to what you have now. And then eventually, you die. And so it's like, oh man, it's too bad. It's not the other way, right? It's great in the beginning and then by the time that you die and you're spending more time apart, you're sickly, whatever, and then you hate each other. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is.
You work with mental health. That's your background, right? I am curious about what the couple who's like, well, I have this condition, or I have this mental health problem, and that's why I can't be nice to my husband, or that's why I gotta win every fight, and he just has to understand that. Like, what is your, because we hear that a lot. What are your thoughts there?
That's a choice. That's a choice every day, every time. And for some people, having to make a different choice is harder than others, but it doesn't change the responsibility. Whether that means that you practice your skills, CBT, DBT, ACT. I mean, there's a therapy for everyone now. You can do tapping, you can do hypnosis, you can even do drug therapy. That's very trendy right now. There's no reason for anyone to say, I have no control over my own life. And if that's true, then maybe a relationship is not really. Maybe getting married should not have been on the plate, but now here you are. And so can you work on yourself, or can you work on improving your own personal skills despite the fact that you're married? So if you have bipolar, if you have anxiety, if you have OCD, is there space for improvement? If you have schizophrenia, if you have borderline personality disorder, is there room for improvement? We all know the answer is yes. Do you need medication? Do you need therapy? Do you need additional support? We have all been through enough to say, I know I can get those things. So then actually doing it is a choice. If you notice, the pattern repeating is, I have to make choices. And whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether they work or don't, every day, every second, all the things are a new choice. And so, Erica, you had asked about how do you keep the things from the past affecting or coming up in your arguments or whatever, thrown in each other's faces. Like we've definitely done that. We're very good at that. We've got that, like that skill has been
She's
honed.
a good pro.
I am not any more skilled than anybody else.
She's actually really good at not doing it.
Jonathan
though, too.
has
She can
an
remember.
excellent.
I can't remember.
Yeah, Jonathan has skill in saying horrific things.
My mouth. I've always, you guys know, my whole life. My whole life I've gotten in trouble because of my mouth.
Yeah.
If I don't know if I know exactly. I might know when you went to individual therapy more than you know.
No, we were in Colorado.
No, I know.
Oh.
But he was the only
No,
person you
I
talked
do know.
to.
I do know.
I can think of a specific time where you shifted in your character, and I continue to see it today. And it's in the level of the way you speak. Like John from early day, like bombastic, loud. Even as we're talking here, I'm constantly thinking, like, is that microphone
You're
catching
so
him?
soft-spoken.
Because you've taken on this a humility that you only get from when you see the way pride exposes you, where you've seen the end of this behavior is the destruction of myself and the people around me. Let me grow in humility. And I think one of the ways humility grows is in the way you speak, not just the kind of words, but even the tone and the level is soft. It's caring. It's very different than the John that I knew growing up.
Sure.
Between the John that I see now. So
Which that's been hard for him because that's part of his identity. And so to shift that means giving up part of that identity that not only does he love, but is nostalgic for him. And so that has taken huge
Beautiful.
sacrifice. But he does not only see the way it affects our relationship, but that's been pretty clear in his relationship with his female daughter, his female child as well, where she does not always appreciate the Jonathan of the past.
Yeah, one verse that goes through my mind all the time is like, don't think of yourself more highly than you ought, right? And like, I'm constantly saying that to myself. It's like, dude, you don't know nothing. You know, you don't, like, you're nothing.
Yeah.
You know, don't think that you know, right? And then that helps bring my mind back to the prideful thing too. Is like, who are you, dude? You know, and like before, you know, I used to think like, oh yeah,
I'm so funny.
yeah. our
Sense of humor?
sense of humor, yeah, is different. So that was a struggle in the beginning. I used to thought that was funny. She's like, that's not funny.
Or like one time he videoed me yelling at Michaela and sent it to his entire family, and he thought he was so funny.
That's his compartment. He zipped that up.
Oh yeah, he put that
I
in
forget
the
a lot
box.
of stuff.
Yeah. That was one of the less hardcore things that he said. I thought he was being funny by sending it. Obviously, that was not a good conversation after, but anyway, I choose not to. I choose not to hold on to those things. It's not that I forget them. It's not like they're like magically disappear, but you choose every day. I chose to be here.
And you choose to see the good, right? Like,
Yes.
you see like, oh, wow, yeah, they're changing, they're growing. And of course they're going to fall back. Of course they're going to fail because I'm failing. Like, look at myself, right? Don't think of myself higher than I thought, right? I'm failing constantly. And to be able to see, it's helpful to be able to see that they grow so that when they fail, it's easier to give grace. I'm not saying that you have to see growth in order to give them grace, but as you're going through this relationship and you can see that they're growing and we're growing together, that when they do fail, it's not put your foot on their face, but it's reach down and grab their hand, right? And so being able to give that grace and see that and understand that is definitely helpful.
Yeah.
And so a result of me thinking that Jonathan... A result of me choosing to see the good in Jonathan is me choosing to stay. So if I choose to stay, and I choose to see the good in Jonathan, then that gives me hope. I choose not to dwell and think on the things that were horrible from the past, because those did absolutely happen, but they are not who he is. They are not who I am today, and they don't have to define us. And so then, for me, they don't. And the onus, again, the responsibility on me of my choices, one of which is to stay, then the onus is on me to make that the best that it can be.
So,
Not for Jonathan to make it the best that he can be. That, you know, his story, his life, even though we are in unity, knowing and accepting and appreciating that we are two absolutely separate, complete people in Christ has been so good for me, because that removes my expectation of Jonathan to do all the things and be all the things. And so my choice every day to be here was my own, and Jonathan absolutely cannot force me to be here. He cannot force me to think certain things and be certain things. And so that's all individual choice all day long.
So did you ever stop loving the other person? Or is that what that little seed of like, I love her still, even though I don't really like her, I love him still, and I'm just going to keep, was love
No,
always
that all
there?
just started.
I
Definitely, based on the love that I know now, I didn't love him. I had no idea what I was doing. I did not appreciate what that word meant. Did I like him? Like a lot, and enjoy the
A lot. I like it a lot.
and did I enjoy the things that we were doing sometimes? Like, sure, but I would say a real appreciation for what love encompasses and entails probably did not start until after that big explosion about year 10, and is now just growing, you know, as we are in year 15.
Yeah, I don't know if you could fully understand and say you love somebody until you go through some hard times together. You know, like I think because true love is sacrificial, you know, and so in order for you to realize and understand what true love is, you got to go through hard times and go through some sacrificial times to be able to grow and truly understand what love is. I mean, did we say we loved each other? Yeah, but and I think that understanding of that love is just growing.
One of the things I remember I said in my wedding vows, and I'm definitely not one of those people who remembers all of those deep details. Jonathan keeps track of our wedding anniversary and stuff, that I took that I did not know I was going to appreciate it so much, but I had the wisdom to at least throw it in there, was something about I hope today is the day that I love you the least. And so that was on our wedding day, and that's absolutely that was good. Even though I didn't know that it was good, I knew that there was some wisdom in there somewhere that we had no idea. And
No idea, for sure. No idea. And like Gretchen says all the time, you look back and like you don't even remember the person you were.
oh yeah, who was that?
You know, you look back.
8 versions ago.
Yeah, that's just different people.
And I do think that's part of the love process is huge things that we go through in our life that we had no idea were coming, and making a choice every day to not only stay but love the new person, love the new version, love Erica 9.0, just like the iPhone 17, right? That's all of us. So that's also a choice. There's no one who's married to the same person today as when they originally got married, whether that's been 5 years or whether that's been 50.
The covenant, the importance of the covenant. Even when Erica asked if you guys had lived together first, would that have been better? And your immediate response was, well, we would have just broke up and that'd have been that. Like, it would have made it simpler to abandon each other. Whereas the covenant that you take on your wedding day is that commitment to say, whatever happens, whatever arises, we're going to stick together. And I think your story being more, I don't know if it's unique or if it's, but at least 10 years, a decade of hardship, misery, a decade of hardship to get to sweetness.
It's beautiful, and it's hopeful, it's redemptive, and it's inspiring. And I'm grateful that you guys were willing to share.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We appreciate it. Hopefully it could spark some wisdom and help to people who are listening, knowing that the easy way out isn't the most fruitful. Going through the hardships and growing is just beneficial to yourself. If you want to look at it selfishly, you're going to grow going through it. And then, going through it together, you just kind of mold into more and more of a one.
Yeah, sometimes the selfishness works out because it does have to start somewhere, but that selfishness, if you're going to start there, should start with a selfishness of knowing that I need growth, that I do need some development, even if it's independent of my relationship. And that will hopefully, probably improve your relationship. There's nothing in life worth having that's easy. Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Well, I think of when we were at the school, we would teach, we taught a lot of students, but the ones who had parents that were divorced. And you'd see, there's a couple of dads that stick out of my mind who they went through a divorce, but then I remember going to hang out with a friend at a restaurant, and he was at the bar hitting on girls, and it was apparent that was one of the things that he did week in and week out. So he didn't, as you say, I'm like, wow, that's what happens if you just get divorced. Because you didn't want to grow. You stayed the 20-year-old version of yourself, even into your 50s. And you made it probably through maybe year 8 of marriage, enough to have a couple kids. But your wife was like, we can't do this anymore. And you said, yeah, I don't really want to be anybody. I don't want to be different.
That's right. I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't want to do it anymore either. I don't really want to change. And then you stay that same course into your 50s. And everybody around you feels the choices, because we see what happens in the kids' lives as they go through school and how that impacts them. But to say, if you do grow, you have this beautiful life that you can create on the other side of that hardship. If you don't grow and stay the same person, you become a person that everybody gives a side of like, really, bro? Like that's your choice to stay in that immature mindset long past.
Everyone sees
the
it but
time.
you.
Right. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah.
Tribulation works patience, patience experience, and experience hope. And you can't get that hope without the tribulation. You can't get that experience without the tribulation. You can't get that patience without that tribulation. And so it, and that can be applied to a bunch of different things, but, just within the relationship part of going through the hardships and the fightings, you just naturally grow and you get hope, and knowing that when you do go through that cycle, now we're at a point where if we do go through a cycle, it's not like, oh my gosh, we're going to get a divorce, right? Like that's not even a thought, to where 10 years ago is like every time, get divorced.
He's a dumbass for getting divorced.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me so much hope, babe.
So that's definitely something that happens, and if you bail out of that tribulation, you're not going to gain that patience, you're not going to gain that experience, you're not gaining that hope. And it's not easy. Tribulations
Oh, it's
aren't
so
easy.
painful.
So we'll go through it, and you're going to be the better. You'll be the better in the long run.
I also noticed at this point in our relationship, where before feedback was so tough from either end. There was no space for feedback, whether it was good or bad, because we just didn't trust each other. But I definitely notice feedback from both ends are so much more well received, which benefits both of us so much more, because we do believe that the other person is actually looking out for our personal best interest, not just for the best interest of the marriage, but like that he honestly believes that I want the world to see the best of him, that I want his interaction with whatever to be the best and have the best outcome. And that's real nice too.
Real nice.
Yeah. I see it with our relation. Like, there's moments where when I say if I make a joke about Erica when we're in like a low cycle, and I can make the same exact joke when we're in like a high cycle, right? You know what I mean? Like, everything's good. I put some money in that bank. It's all good. We're not like, and if I make the joke, I'm like, I'm going to take some money's leaving that bank account, but it's going to be worth it. She's going to laugh. She's going to laugh. But when there's like when there's no money in that bank account and you make that joke, it's like, I guess we're not talking for the next day. I guess this is just what it is. But it is the ways that you go through those things. It builds something, right? And it gives, like you say, it gives you that hope that we don't have to go back to those spaces.
For sure.
And even if we do, we know the way to get out.
Yeah.
I mean, we've now created a path in that deep, dark pit. We now have a path. So you're not just sitting down there thinking, well, there's no way out. There's nowhere to go from here. Now it's like, oh wait, actually I remember the last time I was down here, I did this, this, and this, and that's how we get out. And so you can so easily see it. Maybe enough times at some point where we can do it with our eyes closed. We should try that.
Yeah.
That's
10 years. In 10 years.
10 more years? 25? Okay, we'll be back.
Let's get it.
Look forward to it. We look forward to that.
Before then, actually.
Yeah, before then. This has been amazing, you guys. And thank you for coming on here and sharing and preaching truth and dropping gems you probably don't even realize that you dropped. And it's been a blessing to me to hear it. And Joe, I gotta tell you, it's listening to you was so good, because there are moments when I'm internally upset with him, and he's just right. But you said, but that's your pride. Check your pride first, and I'm gonna commit to that before I name call him in my head. I'm gonna commit to that. So that I really do, because I'm telling you this. I was when I was walking this morning and praying about, it's like, Lord, search me and know me, and I feel like my pride is just like my thing that I really need you to. So I just feel like God just sent you here And that's the word that I'm taking with. And then Gretchen, I don't know if you remember this, but this was you guys had come over, and this is probably after the therapy. And you guys were doing great, and you were sitting on John's lap.
We were all sharing our therapies.
We were.
You were on like a medication regimen, trying to. If you remember, you were taking a bunch of supplements.
I was taking a whole bunch of stuff, but I just remember you, like, John was sharing what he was growing in, and you know, he was what his contribution was to why things weren't great, and all of those things, and you just interjected with, like, but I also had to do the work. I also had to own my part. It wouldn't have worked if I didn't see where I needed to take responsibility. And I think if we could sum up this whole thing in words, it would be so much of what you said that day, and it's what you've said here. And imagine what a marriage, well, we see it, what a marriage could look like with the humility, with the dying to self, the sacrifice, if each person said, but I had to own my part. I had to see where I was bringing the hardship or whatever it is, and how beautiful, like how completely beautiful that would be.
Because if a marriage is walking through that path, they can save themselves a decade of misery by just saying, I'm the problem. Marriage, it doesn't fix problems. Marriage reveals it. And what it's revealed is that I'm the problem. And until I work on myself, nothing will get better.
Yeah, guys, so I'm taking away a lot of wisdom today.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be that I'm the problem in the marriage.
Yes.
It has to just start with you personally.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm the problem for me. Look at my contribution to the world, my contribution to my relationships, my contribution to myself, my contribution to my relationship with God. Am I living up to my promised portion? And like, I definitely go through all the stages just like everybody else, where I was like, okay, yeah, this is absolutely all Jonathan's fault. Because of course it's not my fault, right? Like,
Right.
that's not how it works. But then once you see that even your own personal happiness has a value and is your own responsibility, that's a game changer. It was a game changer for me. Like, that changed my life, our marriage, my personality. I mean, I can still be honest, but I also am pointing that inward, that there's no way to expect anyone else to act differently with me, towards me, for me, if I'm not also doing the same for myself, within all my other relationships. And